All right, guys. So this video is gonna be toxic. Where I'm gonna try my best to not talk about way too many toxic things in this video because let's all remember Charles Manson was an evil guy. He killed a lot of people. He violated a lot of people. He abused a lot of people. He's not someone to be admired, nor should he be praised. But there are some things that we can learn from him that we can use to improve our relationship with women. Now, not everything, Jesus Christ, people. We're only taking some components in isolation because within context, it becomes abusive. And the reason why is because, remember, he was trained by MK Ultra. I think he was part of those studies, and the government taught him how to create cults. And but let's go deep into it right now. But what fascinates me is that, if you guys don't know, he went to prison at the age of 33, right? And when he went to prison, he came out of prison, and within a year and a half, think about it, he came out of prison, no home, no money, just a guitar and his fucking legs. 18 months later, no, a year and a half later, he had 18 girlfriends. And that was even before the Helter Skelter end of the world prophecy. So you don't even need to predict the end of the world for this shit. like he knew how to get women to admire him. So let's talk about this, man. It's gonna, like I said, it might get dark. I don't know. It depends how you see it. But this is gonna be one of those videos that we're gonna put some real shit out there, man. And if you guys enjoy this is going to be part of our course, the Natural Man. It's a course that I created to create aura. Reason why, this guy's not a good looking motherfucker. Okay, every time I make a video about this, every guy in the comment section says, oh, he's good looking. Oh, it's because he's famous and he got money. All right, well, how about now? How about now? What do you have to say after this video? Let's see. I want to see what you guys say after this video. Because Manson was not a tall guy. He was short. He was 5'6". Weird looking. Outside of being a cult leader, the guy was a weirdo, right? Put him in front of a crowd and he becomes something spectacular. Now, he makes sense because he was alive during a very special time in history. JFK got killed and plenty of people felt the solution and moved to communes. Right now, this is a period like that. Right now, it's pretty easy to create cults. Like right now. Why? Think about it. Trump almost got killed. People are disillusioned with the government because of the PDF. Remember Epstein, right? There's a lot of people not trusting the government. So when this happens, this alienates people from their family a lot, and it lends people to become more escapist. So who was he? Well, one, he didn't get love from his mom. Like his mom abandoned him. He was physically abused. And one of the things about guys who are sexually charismatic, a lot of it has physical and sexual abuse. You don't create that type of sexual charisma without some level of abuse in childhood. That's just the unfortunate thing. He was a criminal. He started off as a thief, and then after a while, he graduated to pimpology. After his first prison sentence, he went to prison, and there he learned the pimp game, right? And if you guys really pay attention, a lot of his strategies for the cult was really pimp. The difference was, rather than getting money out of him, he was just getting complete devotion. And there's a way to do that without being abusive, to be honest with you. Like, I want to make this video where you guys can learn how to use some influence that he used without the evil thing. And let me give you the threshold for evil. Deifying yourself. Thou shalt not call yourself God. Thou shalt not Thou shalt not. Come on. Like, there's some basic shit. You know what I'm saying? Next one is, after he got released, he went to college, right? So he got released at the age of 33. And at one point, he actually studied Scientology. So he not only he learned the guitar late in life also. He was a good singer, so he had a talent. So that's one thing, right? I always tell you guys, one of the things about Manson is that he wasn't just a weirdo. He was a talented person. Like, in prison, they would say that he used to practice the guitar all fucking day long. So the guy had an obsessive personality and a desire for power and control. So that manifests itself as ambition. And those are one of the traits that you could bring women into your life with, having crazy level of ambition. So you have to develop that. It is is one of the foundation to his influence is the desire to have that type of influence. So he went outside. So he's the next pimp. He was good at identifying young and naive women. So remember, pimps are really good at that. Like at one point he had a roster of a few girls, and unfortunately though in that era there was a lot of young girls, a lot of underage girls, and it was because it was the 60s and kids were getting bored with their parents, disconnecting, and so a lot of the times when you have naive girls who have bad relationship with their parents, they gravitate towards older men. And one of the things that they said about Charles Manson was the fact that he was 33 and the other women were like 18, 16. And what they said about him was that he was a father figure. So he understood what he was doing. We'll watch a clip. There's a clip I think that we could watch, right? Look, so let's watch this first. Actually, let's watch this one, right? Let's watch this one where they talked about how that's okay. Let's watch this one.
Charlie saw a good thing when he realized that if somebody ran around and talked like a guru in that day and age, especially up in San Francisco, you could gather a group of followers in no time.
So remember, he said Charlie realized. So he observed the environment and was opportunistic. Like that's a guy that knows how to identify weakness. And that's one thing. It's not the fact that you're going to be identifying weakness. It's the fact that you identify what they need. I have an art group. The reason why I started my art group was because I knew artists drew a lot, but they were too shy to meet with other people. But then I realized a lot of them were broke. So then I decided to make an art group that's for free, where we meet and each one of us model for each other and it's free, right? And that group was a success because I identified the need and I created a group for it. At that point, they were needing father figures, and he identified that people needed a father figure and they were also looking for spiritual leaders, and he literally became that. It's not far off from the Pimp game, to be honest with you, because he even had a similar structure to Pimp, where he had his main hoe. It was this one girl. He had and usually the main hoe is usually the one with the lowest self-esteem, right? Usually, and in every situation, actually, the ones that worship you the most have the lowest self-esteem. And you use that person to recruit other people. Now, you don't do this you're not starting a call. So usually what I do with my group is I've identified the people who are the most devoted to the group, and I just say, hey, let's hand out flyers to join us and draw together, right? Oh, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? I ask for more because I understand they want to help the group. So you got to identify those people who want to help and ask for their help to grow the group and tell people to talk about it. And they do a lot more than what you would imagine, right? And there was one time, I think they're going to talk about it, how Manson, there was this one girl that he met, right? And he took her to the beach, to a beach house, got her inside, told her to undress. And she was really hairy. And he was like, look at yourself. He was like, you look amazing, right? Like he knew that was her insecurity, her hair. Had her at that moment. It's really knowing how to tailor your game and identify what the person needs and give it to them, not just give everything to everyone like it's a fucking buffet, right? Now, like I said, you gotta have skills. That's why I tell you guys, have skills in life, because he was really good at one, at guitar, and two, he was really good at attracting the audience. He knew how to play the crowd really well, and that matters. That's a form of charisma. Watch this.
The music was the seduction.
The music was the seduction.
New girl who would run away. He was good.
Runaways, remember, runaways, not healthy people. Runaways, people who are alienated from their families, angry, and that anger serves as a blindfold from the person's manipulations.
And the girls would.
I look at him, right? So he was playing the part of the good-looking guitarist, and so I tell you guys, he wasn't tall. He was 5'6". Right, he had a good jawline, but you know what I'm saying? He was 33. You can't trust 33-year-olds during that time. So he was able to break those barriers through knowing how to perform. Like he had aura, right? And that matters. That is true. Like that's a way, and that's what I talk about in my course. You make sure one thing in my course. Shit. Talk about that in my course. Aura. I mean, the natural man that I'm creating. If you guys know about that, and I talk about this because this does create aura. When I teach classes, you could like, if I do teach, if I do perform, I do notice the eyes are different. People look at you completely different. So aura points matter, and that's what he was doing, right? But it wasn't just that he was doing. Watch this, and I gotta pause it because I don't want to get it demonetized.
You know, play their little instruments and that usually worked. You know, that was the hook. You got him in.
Right, that was the hook. So he had some talent. It wasn't he was just talking. He drew them in with something that he worked on. Me, it's art, not playing guitar, drumming, right, doing YouTube, teaching meditation, right, that draws people. But the difference is that I don't call myself God. The difference is I don't tell them to alienate themselves from their family. The difference is I don't tell, you get what I'm saying? I don't create unnecessary enemies in their minds, because what he does is that he alienates everyone in their lives by telling them what they want to hear. You're right. Everyone is wrong. Your parents don't know what they're talking about. Run away with us. Yeah.
Phil Kaufman would introduce Manson to a number of music producers.
All right, so that's one thing. Another thing that he did that was really interesting is that, like I said, he played the father archetype. Let's watch this.
Attracted.
He was definitely a father figure to everybody. I admired him. He was a very charismatic person.
Remember, the admiration comes because she lacks it in her life. So and remember, and then people say, how do you find this? Well, guess what? You only need to find one woman without a father figure, because what happens is that they attract other people who have similar mindsets, and they kind of they identify each other. They know that. Like, traumatized people attract traumatized people. Have 2 or 3 traumatized people, and they're gonna attract more traumatized people. Oh Lord. Okay, I'm going to hell for this video, man.
Everybody gave me lots of attention. They're all very nice.
Oh Lord, you see, she was fucking psycho, right? Everybody gave me
strong draw, and I think that was probably one of the main draws too.
Yeah, she was like, what the fuck? She was like, everybody gave me attention. The attention, right? That matters, because again, they're lonely, they're sad, and the deeper the gap in their hearts, the easier it is to open them up to your influence. That's why the art of seduction is choosing the right victim. You can't choose happy people. And happiness is not about how their family looks on the outside, because a lot of these families have families with money, like the whole family. But the difference is that they were bored. They were just bored. Like, just the boredom was insane, because before them in the 50s, those periods were very safe. It was the best periods. You could predict everything. But the problem that for kids, that type of safety creates a crazy amount of boredom that makes them want to do drugs and explore, right? Another thing that was that he regressed them. This was actually a powerful one. Regressing them. Well, listen.
The philosophy was that everything you learned was wrong, so we're going to erase your mind and make it childlike.
So remember, he learned that when he was being taught how to do this in the MK Ultra thing. Hope it doesn't demonetize.
You could see that by doing that, then you could implant your ideas and philosophy.
Forget about the past, and usually you do that by creating enemies of the past. Your mom was wrong, your daddy was wrong, they're closed-minded, they don't know what they're talking about. The government, you can't trust them. Remember, they just killed JFK, you can't trust them. Oh, remember, they just killed Trump, you can't trust them. Oh, remember, Trump was in the Epstein list, you can't trust them. You create doubt about everything they find foundational. And remember, nowadays, this is what they call the turning point, which is the crisis generation, where people begin to lose trust in government and foundations and religion. So this is very similar to the 60s. So then people are going to become more sexually liberated. Remember, now OnlyFans, prostitution is more open, right? And it's just more feminism. And guess what? We're back in the 60s. We're back in the 60s. They literally just had a summer of love a few years ago. Remember, we're back. So this is a perfect time for cults. And let me tell you something, man. I do see it. I can see it. I can fucking see it. Like when sometimes when I make my art groups or meditation groups, like I can see it in the eye. People want to worship someone. It's insane because everything around them they're not trusting. And everything around them is not in the physical distance. Usually they lose trust in the people, but those people are usually online. They meet someone who they trust in person and they want to worship someone. Because humans have a need to worship something. So if you're a really good leader, like the sad thing, it's a sad thing. Cults happen by accidents. They form by accidents if you're not careful with it. Especially if you're really talented, you got to be careful with that. Let's keep listening.
Any kind of belief system you had, that was considered trash. So people worked on disbelieving things that they'd been taught, unlearning everything you learned in school. So
you can see how then they were so hated. They hated authority so much, right? And again, this is a personality profile. This doesn't work on everyone. It has to be someone who's a rebellious person, who has a natural inclination to go against the grain. Anyone who has a natural inclination to follow rules will not do this. In fact, if that's the case, Manson will kick you out.
you'd end up basically having no opinions based on what you were brought up with. You wouldn't have any more values anymore. It's that were given to us by our parents and peers. But everything we did, it was our choice. You know, people gave up their egos willingly.
Well, the illusion of choice. And that choice is be accepted or be a runaway. Be with us, young people, or be a runaway, right?
Whenever people convert to a new political philosophy or a new religion, a new way of life, it's not because some Svengali or some powerful evangelist or some powerful malevolent figure such as Manson was so strong in the way they came on.
Yeah, but again, it's three multifaceted, right? The woman's psychology, which pretty much those girls had extreme low self-esteem. A lot of them had mental health issues. A lot of them experienced sexual abuse. Like if you understand about that, you kind of can see. Cause like for example, if a pimp is pretty much a sex call, but you work for the pimp and you make him money. It's pretty much a sex call without the religion. So and it's not hard to start pimping. You just if you've been around people with low self-esteem, you kind of know that emotionally you can sense how swayed they are because of just the misery that they experience. So it's not hard to do this. It's just you got to be psychopathic to be willing to abuse people that way. That's the difference. Like it's true, man. It's true.
And so articulate that they instantly converted people. It's always an interactive process.
They needed him.
There was one occasion when he met a girl. She looked alone, and she was alone, like outside. And he was like, "You seem like you're needing. You seem like you're looking for answers." And one of the things about him is that he spoke in cryptic ways. He didn't just say, "Hey, I'm him." He was a really good code reader. And she was like, well, no, it's so big. And he looked at her and then she started crying. And he was like, don't worry, the answers will come to you. And then he walked away. That's a key thing right there. When he walked away, she ran after him. She was like, okay, I'll follow you. She went back to his place, which he was using another girl's place, a librarian with a dog, banged her there and initiated it. But you got to realize there's a lot of lying in there. There's a lot of lying. There's a lot of him wanting to use her so that she could sleep with other men so that they could get money from the men so that they could support the commune. It's a pimp. It's pretty much a pimp. Like there's no different than a fucking dude than Slim, that the Slim Devil guy. I don't know his name is. It's pretty much pimpology with spiritualness. There's nothing to envy there, you know. Like it's pretty much just a sad environment, a very sad environment. Let's keep listening.
To be a father-like figure, a guru, and they created that for themselves. Manson needed followers. Manson needed people to listen to him, and so they both got what they each needed from each other.
But not.
All right, let's keep listening. That was a little technical difficulty.
Francisco, it was just the two of us. It was at that time when the philosophy of the hippies was, do your own thing, man. You know, don't let the man get you. Do your own
Listen, this pretty much showed you he was self-aware. He was self-aware what he was doing.
thing. And I kept saying that, and Charlie kept saying, no,
No.
you're not doing your own thing.
Are you thinking?
And I go, yeah, man, I was like old hippy dippy at the time, you know. It was then that he realized that I wasn't
This guy's not fucking around. Look what he said.
programming. And then it was after we got back for a while, and I said, Charlie, I gotta go. He said, yeah, you're still thinking.
You're still thinking.
And I said, yeah, I'm still thinking.
Now, it's crazy because I'm gonna say this, and this is why I think it was dark. He used a lot of sleep deprivation along with LSD, and he was very verbally and physically abusive to them. So it wasn't just the positive charm. There was a lot of negative charm, and which is why you wouldn't want to do this, because it's like, you know, the crazy thing is that he could have influence without the evil shit. if he just kept it if he just kept it as an underculture thing and free sex, but the problem is that if he kept it non-criminal, it wouldn't be as addictive. That's the difference, you know. Like the addictive part was because of the dark shit that he did. You can't get to this level of influence without dark manipulation. So he was obsessed with practice, had a deep need for attention, and remember his mom wasn't there, so he had a need for female validation, but also hated women. And he was talented in evil things, but talented nonetheless. Like he was really good at manipulating people. Remember, he was an ex-convict. He lived most of his life in prison, so he knew how to manipulate. He was an excellent code reader of victims. Let's go to Google, right? Let's see what shows up. I'm always scared. Let's go to Google and look for abusers can code read victims from just walk, right? Is it true? Let's look for it. Let's go to Google. What you call it? Google AI. Free. Because I want to find this one. What study showed the abusers can tell who was abused by just their walk? The study psychopathy and victim selection. The key finding: inmates with higher score of psychopathy were found to be more accurate in judging victims' vulnerability by simply watching short clips of them. Okay, let me make sure I could put it right here. There you go. Watching short clips of them, but just watching them walk, right? These individuals reported gaits make their judgments, slower walking speed, shorter strides, lateral side to side, constrained and limited arm swing, decreased energy on or bouncing a step, dragging feet, right? And these are instincts. Essentially, the research suggests that predators, particularly with psychopathic traits, are attuned to body language. And so that's what he was. He was really good at that. I mean, he was a psychopath. And psychopaths, what they're good at is finding people who are victims. So, but the key to this is finding people who need what you have to offer. So he was really good at that. It's honestly, 90% of the work is making sure it's the right person. The difference here is that this guy had no empathy. He was abusing them, destroying their lives, and he just didn't give a fuck. That's the difference. Another thing is that he spoke like Jesus. He had he had a way of talking in cryptic ways, right? So rather than saying I'm Jesus, he'd be like, one time they asked him, "Are you Jesus?" He didn't say no, yes. He just went like he had a way of speaking without words, and I talk a lot about this actually. So remember, he was physically, verbally abusive, right? And that you do that, unfortunately, to break them down. All right. So how did he recruit? I think we talked about this. Let me make sure it's the right thing. I don't want to miss anything.
The Manson family lived on one of those Southern California communes.
One day, a couple that I had been living with said, "Hey, we want you to meet this groovy guy." Charlie gets up out of the circle. He'd been in the circle.
Those are his recruiters, right? So he was in a circle teaching and playing, groovy guy. And look what he did.
Playing the guitar, and he, gives me a big hug. And,
Hey, come here.
So
Thank you. Remember, she's sad, depressed, a runaway. Come on, man. Like, this doesn't work on everyone, but it works on people who are empty.
I just felt, someplace I belong. Someplace somebody wants me.
Right? And that makes it extremely addictive.
There was plenty of interaction. There was plenty of lovemaking.
And that drew younger people in, right? And make sure everything's good right here.
Plenty of dancing. We were always taking care of each other.
Diane Lake, who was 14 when she joined, says Manson exploited the women to further his personal ambition.
Charlie really was pimping us out.
Yeah, pretty much, right? It was the pimp game, but for spirituality, right? Now, he followed the first rule of seduction, which is what? Choose the right victim.
In truth.
Among those to fall under Manson's spell were librarian Mary Bruner.
That was the first girl.
Disaffected teenager Lynette Fromm. And 19-year-old drifter.
That was his main, the bottom one, like the bottom bitch, right? And she was like the most devoted one. The craziest one, too. I mean, look at her photo.
She had a tough start in life. On top of a broken home, on top of child abuse, Susan Atkins had to suffer the death of her mother from cancer. And she was, come puberty, pretty wild. So wild that her family couldn't contain her.
Wild. So, yeah. The bottom bitch usually is the one with the most intensity and the most devotion, usually the most traumatized a lot of the times. The crazy chick, the fun one. And then after with her, he pretty much had her recruit people for him. And that makes it easier. And again, with any group, you got to have someone who you use to get other people to speak about you, speak about your group. Or like with my art group, with my meditation group, I'll just have people post flyers around the area to meditate. And it is a free meditation. If you guys go, you'll notice I'm not going to try to bang you. It's actually a real one because I really want to help people with this, but it's like you should always be suspicious though of people, even me, right? Like, even though y'all know me, you know what I mean? Like, you should never trust people 100%. So what was his game? Like I said, he would target women who were lost, particularly those who hated their parents and runaways. Back then, this was normal. He implied that he was Jesus. Never directly said it, but he always implied. He was like, man, that's why they try to kill me at the cross. Look at me now. Like, he'll say shit like that while they're tripping. Right? He never said it though. He would speak cryptically. He said, I'm the devil and Jesus at the same time. I'm the devil and God at the same time. He never initially pressured his followers to come with him. Remember that story of saying you look like you're missing something? She was like, maybe. And then he just walked away and then she ran after him. He would go after the lonely ones. He would get his female followers to sleep with men so that they could use the money for housing, pimping. They would travel to hippie communes, but he saw, this is actually a really interesting one, shows you how self-aware he was. There was one time he went to a commune where there was a bunch of hippies, but then he saw there was like other cult leaders. He was like, yeah, I don't like this. All right, pack up, let's go. Like, he knew the game. Like, he knew what he was doing, you know? His power base, he drew them in with people who felt like they didn't belong, the outsiders. Those are the easiest ones to manipulate. He then would create an us versus them dynamic. He would instill in them that their parents were wrong, their parents are mean, their parents don't know what they're talking about, like just completely alienate them from normal society so that they can grow dependent on the group, and then he will go bring out the evil shit. You know. He played up on Jesus. He would disorient and keep them up for days. Now this is the dark stuff. This is like this is shit. If you do this shit now you go to prison, motherfucker. There's a sexual attraction to seeing spiritual people in real life. He even had the Jesus look. Like, you gotta realize this was on purpose. Like, the whole beard thing was on purpose. He would drug them with LSD to deepen the delusion and sleep deprive them. He would reinterpret the Bible to fit his needs and desire. This is a big one. Most of these women were raised in Christian households, so he knew he couldn't bring out the fucking Buddha book. He had to bring out a spiritual book that they were already comfortable with, and then reinterpret that book in a way that fits their points of view. Modernize the book, because naturally they see that book and they're like, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's old. But here comes this guy that looks like Jesus, that has a charisma, and is telling me that, hey, your interpretation of the Bible was wrong. Actually, it's more similar to you. It's more similar to your generation than you think. And that makes them religious, spiritual. And guess who initiated them in that spirituality? You. And guess who they're gonna follow? You. The problem here is that any rational person will look at those women and say, this is wrong. You're gonna know you're doing something wrong, man. Your conscience will know. And I swear to God, if you got anyone who does this, you will have nightmares. Your dreams will follow you. Your shadow will follow you, and you won't be able to sleep. Because these people, as psychopathic as they are, they pay a price. And it's through their consciousness. You will go to sleep. You will have nightmares, and you can't escape that reality. That's the consequences of doing this to people. All right, oops. That's it, man. This is my story of Charles Manson. Very interesting. Honestly, it's interesting seeing how they did it, man. Right? I didn't tell you guys everything, because there are some elements in the creation of cults that it's my responsibility to keep to myself and to not tell people, because I don't know why and how. I pretty much, through studying these books and plenty of other stories, I kind of understand how to create cults, and it's something that I would never dare to teach that to people, because there are people that are not like me who will abuse people, and you guys can go to my meditation meetups. You know, you guys can come with me and join, and you guys can see for yourself that there's no crazy shit going on, right? But I invite you guys, if you guys are ever in New York City, to join us, so that you guys can see how groups are created, and you guys can see how decentralized it is. It's very important to do that, because when you centralize it around yourself, you also kind of create cult-like following. And the reason why I don't like cult-like following is because you hurt the people. They can't think straight for the rest of their lives. You sort of stunt them mentally. And if you look at these women now, they're pretty goofy, man. Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think. This was really fun. I'll make more if it gets more views. I'll break down more other people, and I'll break it down in a moral way, in a way that you guys can learn about influence. And if you guys want to learn more about this, check out my course, Dark Game, and check out my course, my new upcoming course, The Natural Man. My course, Dark Game, is more in line with this, but, you know, check out the Natural Man. It's a pretty good course. It's about how to create auras. So actually, Natural Man is more similar to this, but it's not as evil as this video. All right? Anyway, figure.